Years ago, somewhere in the Underdark, a band of Serdnebly slaves, calling themselves the Letharn, learned to harness the powers of the spirit world in order to break the chains of their drow oppressors. Among this tribe of deep gnomes, there were three great warlords known as Mazari, the Earth Warden, Azteca, the Druid of Swarms, and Mordecai, the Shaman King. Together, they led their people to freedom and upwards into the surface world. Unfortunately, the Letharn found the world above as unforgiving as their subterranean home, and were eventually put to the sword by the people of Carafel Plateau. With their final breaths, the Letharn triumvirate wrought forth a malevolent specter and unleashed it upon their killers in an act of vengeance. An entity called the Dream Eater descended upon the unknowing peoples of Juvalin and began to reap their most treasured resource, their children. Damien, the thief-turned-apprentice to Karus Moonspeaker, who is you,
my baby!
a wise and powerful long-tooth shifter shaman, has been marked for death by the enigmatic spirit. In order to save his ward's life, Karus formed a fragile alliance with the Knights of Juvalin and set forth on a mission to pacify the Restless dead. In our
let's not forget one itty-bitty detail.
What?
You stole my spirit companion, you douche canoe! Why don't you tell everyone at home that little detail?
Oh, geez, that's loud. Okay, but yeah, so in the very first adventure, so Karus is a shaman, meaning he can summon a dedicated spirit companion at will. Within the first adventure, when he first encountered the Dream Eater, it was such a powerful entity that it started to corrupt nearby spirits, namely which Kaiba, his spirit wolf, and friend since level 1. So, along with trying to save his ward's life, he's also trying to save his animal companion, his spirit animal companion, who's been essentially dog-napped, for lack of a better word.
I'm not gonna say I'm favoring one person or the other in terms of like who would I save, my spirit companion or my living ward, you know, because my spirit companion is technically already dead, but I still care about them a whole hell of a lot. So don't make me choose, because that's gonna be not cool. I will go into the afterlife and take back Damien's spirit for myself. If he dies, okay, I'm just throwing it out there. If Damien dies, he will be my new spirit companion.
Can you keep a human as a spirit companion? You know what? Well, that's a question for a different campaign. But so, just finishing the recap. First, the party confronted the ghost of the Earth Warden Mazari within the twisted corridors of Felgor Mountain, the place in which he died. When strength of arms could not prevail, Karus quelled the wrathful spirit by reuniting his remains with the remains of his long-departed family. The trio then returned to the city, having acquired the knowledge and experience needed to defeat the Dream Eater. If they can locate the remains of the other two and put them to rest, the curse will be lifted and countless lives saved.
Game on.
That's my line.
Sorry, my bad.
At the dawn of a new and hopeful day, Karus and his allies prepare to return to the mist-covered Vanderkelt forest and seek out the resting place of the swarm druid Azteca. What do you do? Which,
ironically, is not as jubilant as it could be. Where are the children being held again?
They're kept in the House of Healing near the Temple of Sehinin.
Do I recall needing to check back in with her before I depart for the forest?
None particular. You just recall that the forest is pretty dense, hard to traverse. It'd be wise not to go alone.
I'm never alone. I got the spirits with me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's not convincing the DM. I do recall having some companions with me, some less than savory folk who were journeying with me in the last adventure.
So, the first one is a man named Berlo Stravos. He is an elderly member of the City Watch, and he is also accompanied by Sir Xander Manolis, son of the captains of the guard, and he's the one who encountered you in the forest at the very beginning. Berlo was the one who, in a fit of fear, accidentally loosed a crossbow bolt into Damien, and he seems pretty sorry about that. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Oh, he fucking will be.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and the priestess of Sehinin, is named Lady Calavas.
I turn to my charge. All right, boy. Pack up. We need to go back to the House of Healing to speak with the others. Be prepared. Today's journey will be hard and arduous.
He, when you call him, he seems for a moment like he wasn't paying attention to you, and he kind of jolts when you speak to him. I'm sorry, what was that?
Focus, Damien. Where are my eyes?
Oh, sorry, Master. I'll begin packing right away.
I place a heavy hand, a heavy yet reassuring hand on his shoulder, and I said, "Look at me, Damien."
He looks up at you with baggy eyes. He looks like he hasn't slept much.
I want to do a check to see if how he's doing mentally, spiritually, magically. What check do I do for that?
Use your ward.
Oh.
He has a hard time lying to you. You've gotten used to his tricks and his mannerisms. He seems visibly frightened. He's trying his best not to shake, but his hands twitch nervously at the sides.
Okay. So if I can see that he is visibly frightened, I turn to him and I go, "Damien, I know that what we are doing is challenging for you. If you feel that you need more time, I would understand. If you wish to stay in the village to help the priestess Calavas in the House of Healing, then by all means, all hands would be more appreciated there."
He says, he shakes his head. "I don't know if I want to go back there," he says. It makes him scared to go back there.
No, I understand. You will be ready one day, but that day is not today. Come, I will leave you in the hands of Lady Calavas, the House of Healing.
He seems
Come, gather your things.
But he's obeying your command. He speaks no more of it. Keeps his head down and continues to pack your things. Hands you your bag, and you're out the door.
All right, we head towards the House of Healing, where the priestess is.
When you arrive at the House of Healing, there is a slight commotion on the inside. You can hear the sounds of rushing footsteps as some people scramble outside. They look like helping hands, and they look visibly terrified. They're inside. You're hearing a familiar voice, Lady Calavas, shouting commands. What do you do?
The commotion is. Do I see that the faces of others look visibly worried?
Yes, the people outside right now, the people gathered, they are watching with anticipation, and you hear an utterance. Is it happening again?
I grip my staff apprehensively and give Damien a firm pat on the back. Come! And I charge forward.
All right, so enter the building. Go ahead.
Into the building I go!
Anyway, all right. When you enter the House of Healing, I'll put you right here. Lady Calavas turns to you. Oh, thank the gods. Karus, it's happening again. You see the Lord. You greeted him a couple of days ago. Lord Varric Castellanos. He's beside one of the bodies. And one of the bodies are convulsing. In fact, 3 of them are convulsing.
Which of the bodies that he is beside?
He's beside what appears to be a young boy about Damien's age.
Alright, I want to approach that boy first.
Alright, he says, "Yo, yes, please, save my nephew. It's of utmost importance." Lady Calavas shouts to you. She says, what was it? She's beside what appears to be a younger girl with pointed ears, indicating her elven heritage. And she says, this one won't last much longer. Vlad's older, he can handle it. He can wait. Lord Varric turns to her, livid. "How dare you tell me to wait? My nephew might be dying right now."
I put my hand up to between the 2 of them, and I said, "All of these children need to be saved. There is no one more important than the other." And I look around and I want to try and discern which one is in worse condition than the next.
All right.
What check do I have to do for that?
All right. Do a perception.
Perception check. So be it, Dungeon Master. 29.
29.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, 34.
34.
I just scrolled down.
You notice that the skin on these children are beginning to ripple, as if something underneath is struggling to break out. When you touch them,
gross.
you can feel a current moving inside of strange round objects.
Still gross.
There's a faint voice
Okay.
in the air, barely above a whisper. Come to me, my children. It utters breathily in an old man's voice. With each utterance, the convulsions grow in strength and frequency. Astera is the youngest, a 6-year-old elven girl. She is the weakest and possibly will hold out the least.
I turn to my charge. I turn to Damien. And I say, get a basin of cold water and stay beside this boy. I will handle the elf girl.
All right, as you're heading to the side, Lord Varric rushes to you and he says, he grabs you by the shoulder and he says, think the leniency I give the Holy Lady applies to you? You heal my nephew immediately or suffer the consequences.
I turn to him and I said, if I do not heal all of these children, then the consequences will be dire for everyone.
He shouts at you instead, if Vlad dies, I'll have you arrested on conspiracy. Maybe you're working with these spirits after all. Shaman.
I look at you and it says, right now, you don't have a choice. If you arrest me, then everyone will die. Everyone. Your child will not be the first nor the last. Decide who is better for you, your family or your people. I care not for who you are or what your status is. I care about the creatures that are assailing the children in this room. Stand aside and let me do this job. The more we talk, the closer to death they grow to.
All right, you've already spoken to him, and he seems rather angry at you, but he doesn't seem like he could contend with you, so he's just seething.
Let him see.
Waiting you.
I'm neutral good. I don't give a fuck about the law. I don't give a fuck about status.
All right, so you go to the elven girl, Astera.
But I do want to let Damien look after the boy. So if things start getting real bad for the boy while I'm in there, I want to see if he can find a way to contact me in some way, shape, or form. Because I don't want to just abandon the other kid, okay?
All right, so go to Astera, and when you approach her, she starts to struggle. She's as if she's in a horrible nightmare, swirling back and forth. Again, the same creeping pulsations on the inside of her body. Do an Arcana check or a Religion check.
28.
28. You peer into the unseen world, and you gaze in horror at the swarm of spirit bats that have entirely blanketed the child's body from head to toe. With claws and teeth, they invisibly tear away at her body, draining the life from her.
Hell no!
Do a heal check.
Get the fuck up! Get the fuck up off this baby! You creepy ass pedo bats. I'm gonna call them pedo bats from now. This bitch gonna be healed as fuck. I'm about to heal the shit out of her.
All right.
She didn't even know what's about to hit her.
Will
I rolled really badly, but still got a 23.
Lady Kalavas has to assist then. She notices that you're struggling a bit, so she puts her hand upon yours, and you channel both of your, combine your spiritual as well as her healing powers upon this maelstrom of wings and fangs, and you channel the magic into the child, strengthening her spirit. The massive bats are ejected in all directions, shrieking in pain. The last one flies back inside her, hiding. Astera is safe.
All right, I peer over my shoulder at the boy. What does the situation look like?
He is beginning to flail in all directions, like as if he's trying to wake himself up, but it is not working. There is another child at the far end of the room, close to teenage, adolescent. She looks like a half-orc with her underbite, and she's also at the same state as Vlad. She is also starting to flail and contort.
Okay. I'm gonna go up to Vlad now because I promised Lord Varric von Douche Canoe that I would help his son.
His nephew.
Nephew, whatever. Nephew. Okay, so now that the elfin girl is safe, I'm going to do two things. Okay. I'm going to attempt to protect the orc girl and Vlad at the same time. Totem of Astral Redoubt. An ally within 5 squares will disappear into the safety of the Astral Sea until the start of his or her next turn, which hopefully will be just enough time for me to heal Vlad before I come back to her. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and displace her body into another plane or dimension, hopefully separating her from the spirits, for just a few seconds while I attempt to try and help Vlad.
Well,
is that feasible?
let's work with this. That's actually kind of clever. I'll say that puts her in stasis for 1 round.
That's kind of what it's supposed to do. So I'm hoping that I can save both of them by basically putting the orc girl in stasis and protect her while I go and attend to Vlad for a few moments.
I like that a lot.
So
all right,
I reach up and I pull out one of the several totems I have wrapped that clang around my my rope belt.
Yeah.
And as I pull it out, I toss it up into the air and enchant the ancient language of the spirits. And in doing so, the totem begins to glow and float in front of me. And in a brief moment, it glows with bright azure blue energy, and this energy envelops the orc girl. And in a blink of an eye, both the totem and she have disappeared. They are currently inside the astral sea and will remain so for a few seconds, probably about 6 to 8 seconds, I'd say.
I like that. I'd just say a full round. But yes, so she disappears from sight. Lady Kalavas looks a little concerned, but she trusts you at this point. So she says, whatever you did, I hope it buys her time.
It says, she is currently outside of time. And then I leap over the bed over to Vlad.
All right, so you land beside Vlad. He looks... he is starting to flail, but you place your hands upon him. Lady Kalavas also rushes along the way to see if she can assist you. So go ahead and do your Arcana or Religion again to detect where they are.
I'm going to do Arcana. 24.
24. All right, so again, peering into the unseen world, you notice that as the bats are tearing away invisibly at the child's carapace, underneath you see swarms of strange black orb-like creatures, as if they're attempting to break out of this hollow husk. Whatever happens when the Dream Eater fully takes you, you still do not know, but it looks like it will be indeed horrifying if you fail. To do your check.
That sounds pretty fucking awful. Alright, I'm gonna heal this bitch for 31.
Alright. So, both of you together again. This time, when she places her hand upon it, she seems a little bit distraught because she sees it and she's horrified. But you basically calm her down, and both of you together channel enough energy to. I
shout through the energy and through the deafening sounds of the flutterings of the bats, and I say, "Push through! We must save him!"
All right, and you do. A magical burst of energy dispels these creatures. The invisible wound concealing these creatures inside seals away, and the child returns to a wordless sleep.
Very nice. I take a sharp breath in as I attempt to catch my breath, and I turn back over to the orc girl, who should be reappearing any second now.
She reappears.
All right. I rush over to her, and as I do, I push Lord Varric out of the way. I'm like, "Aside, human!"
All right.
And I rush over to the orc girl.
All right. You shove him to the side, and he manages to catch himself. Lady Kalavas follows suit, and this time, as if she kind of agrees with you that she doesn't like him either, also nudges him, so he actually does. So he actually does fall. Like.
Yes, Kalavas. She's my wing woman. Let's do it.
All right. So when you arrive to Carrick, Damien is trembling as he approaches just to observe. Lady Kalavas turns to him and says, "If it happens, you shouldn't be here. Get out."
Yeah, I turn back in agreement, and I put my hand up to kind of like tell him to like stand back, like, you know. I give him a firm and stern look. I put my hand up to tell him to stand back.
All right. He takes a few cautious steps back, but he does not break eye contact. He's kind of grasping at both of his hands, like as if he just doesn't know what to do, and he's just fidgeting, and he looks genuinely
I look up, before I focus in on the orc girl, I look back at Damien, and I says, "Don't stand idly by, boy. Help the other children. Get a cold towel. Apply it to them."
Yes, master, he stammers, and he runs off to help.
All right.
He says,
"Yeah, I'm not. That bitch ass ain't gonna be sitting around doing nothing."
Lady Kalavas smiles for a moment. Despite the dire circumstances, you've trained him well.
He says he's a long way to go, but he's made great progress. He has much potential,
All right.
as do all of these children.
When you arrive at Kirik's side, Kirik, with her half-orc strength, rises. She is still asleep, but she's thrashing now, waving her arms about and just attacking invisible objects in the air. You have to restrain her, or Lady Kalavas can attempt to restrain her.
Alright, I will use my Chieftain Long Spear. As a daily free action, I can immobilize any enemy.
Oh,
so, yeah, so what I will do is I will take my staff and grip it tightly, channel my primal energy through it, and slam it on the ground, and as it does, an invisible force will wrap themselves around her and restrain her to the bed.
Well done. Okay, so you hold her down in place, and she
I am a paragon. I can't do these things.
So she stops moving, and Kelly Kalavas places her down where she is, lying safely. All right, let's do this. Do your Arcana religion check.
Arcana. 18.
You attempt to find these creatures, and as soon as you turn on your spirit sight, the bats swarm at you for a moment, and it kind of like causes you to flinch and break your concentration.
Is it possible for me to use my healing spirit on her?
Alrighty. Do a heal check.
Alrighty, it's gonna be mucho. Bam! Crit.
You're trying to pacify her mind. She is screaming for help and just trying to bat away at invisible creatures. What do you do?
Alrighty, I want to find these invisible creatures so that I may dispel them myself.
Alright, now do that Arcana check again with a +2.
Yeah! 33!
Excellent job. Alright, so at this point, while you're watching the bats tearing away at her body and she is restrained, inside of her, you see clearly what's trying to break out. It's like an army of beetles are somehow inside of her, as if she is hollow save for the skin, and the bats are trying to rip her body apart and free them.
Alrighty, I want to take my pseudo-paw, because I'm a shifter. I take my hand and I plunge it into her spirit self, where these beetles would be, and I want to clench my hands in an attempt to try to create an explosion of healing energy to cleanse her body of these invasive evil spirits.
Alright, so go ahead and do your heal check. Lady Kalavas will assist you.
35.
35. Alright, excellent. So
really good at healing people. The fuck out of my way.
the beetles inside, they scurry away and hide under the flesh as it patches itself up, and the bats are expelled. Again, one last one ducks inside her, hiding itself, ready to respawn again should the time come. But you have saved Kirik the half-orc as well as the other two.
Hell yeah! I saved all these bitches, 'cause that's what I fucking do. I save people even though they don't want to be saved. Like Lance and Frelick, just saving people all the time. When you're with Karus Moonspeaker, you are gonna be saved whether you want to be or not.
So well done. You bought yourself enough time with that displacement spell because she would have died a turn before. Well done.
I know she would have died a turn before. I know that you were giving me that option, and Karus the Moonspeaker, with his immense insight and wisdom, was able to see that the time that he had was very limited, and the number of people he had to heal was more than he could handle, and so therefore he had to do something drastic in order to save all of them, and his gamble paid off.
Well done. I don't believe in the no-win scenario, I see. So
not Karus. He doesn't believe it. I mean, I know they're going to inevitably happen, but he doesn't believe in it. So, fuck you, God.
So, Lady Kalavas,
I shake my healing fist in your general direction, which is all directions.
Lady Kalavas takes a seat, and she is very grateful for you to have arrived. Oh, thank you, Karus. I don't know what would have happened if you weren't here.
I stagger forward, exhausted and fatigued from the multiple bouts of healing in such a short period of time. beads of sweat drip down my face as I gestured to Damien to bring me a jug of water.
All right.
And I nod to Lady Calavas and I say, this will not be the last time this happens. I was able to purge them, but I was not able to cure them. I will need to venture forth into the forest once more to stop the source of this evil. But for now, they are safe. And can I actually do a check to see how long they'll be safe for?
No, that's kind of the spirits are mysterious. You know.
Okay.
This.
So then I look up and it says, for how long I do not know, but the spirits are mysterious.
Damien runs up to you, holding a shaking bottle, and he isn't really looking at you. He's looking over you to see Kirik. It's like, is she going to be okay?
I nod as I take a big swig of the water, and I hand it back to him, and I say, "All is well for now, my child." It says, "Look about the fruit of our labor. They would not be this way, if not for your assistance with me." And I put a hand in it. Says, "We will talk later of the importance of what was done here today."
Yes, of course, Master. If it'd be okay with you, I'd like to wait outside now.
I look at him. And I nod. And I want to throw him a couple of copper, maybe some silver.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, "Go buy yourself some fruit and a treat. You deserve it for your bravery today."
His, even though he looks still sleepy and fatigued, his eyes lighten up and he smiles. Thank you, Master. And he rushes out the door.
I know how to deal with kids. I know kids who can be kids. He's just got, he was brave. He's 9. I got to give him something. He was brave in the face of danger, and he deserves to be rewarded for that. I love Damien. Don't take him away from me.
That's why I took Kaiba instead.
I know, because Kaiba's actually like he's. I love my son. I love them both. Also, my drink here is pretty strong, so I'm gonna try to lay off it a little bit here. All right.
Lady Calavas gives you a nice pat on the shoulder. She says, "Wow, you're a good teacher. He's a braver kid than I anticipated. It's quite awful what happens. I'm glad he didn't have to see that."
He nods, and I nod, and I say to him I say to her, I mean the priestess, I say, he cannot yet glean the nuances of the spirit world, and it is for the best for this time. Though he is still a brave child for what he has endured and what he is to endure in the future, and I hope to one day prepare him appropriately for that. And I look at her and I give her a strong glare of approval, and I say, "And thank you for your aid, for I could not have done this without you."
Where are you going? Where are you going next?
I look out through the windows and I say, "I must return to the forest to put to rest the troubled spirits that this curse has wrought. Once the spirits are at ease, then these children will finally be safe. In the meantime, they can rest easy for the time, until the spirits become angered again and attempt to attack them. Only when the curse has been lifted can these children truly be free from the curse that plagues them."
Understood. I'll keep watching them. No one's gonna die on my watch, or at least that's what I hope.
I want to go to Lord Varric now. So I walk up to Lord Varric and stand beside him and his nephew.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at him and I say, "Your nephew is safe for the time being." And I look down at the child and give him a long, loving look, and then I look back at Lord Varric and I say, "Next time, do not get in my way. I have every intention of saving your nephew and everyone else in this village, as they matter very much to me, as they do to you. But the longer you stop me from doing this task, the more danger you put him and everyone else in. Do you understand this?"
He stands up, seemingly frustrated with you. I don't like your tone. I don't think you remember who is acting Lord. of Juvelin.
I look at him and I say, I care not for titles. I care not for titles, my lord. But if I do recall, I just saved your nephew. A thanks is in order. And I intend to save the rest of your village, a task that you are incapable of doing. So if you wish to have this village saved, including just like the life of your nephew, then you will understand where my position is.
He backs off, sits back down, and continues to watch his nephew intently.
He says, we are on the same side here, Lord Varric. Please understand where your allies and enemies lie. Swallow your pride, for the threat is greater than titles and greater than mortality. And I turn and I leave without another word.
All right. As you're leaving, he shouts to Lady Kalavas, and I thought you were preachy. You could learn a lesson or two from this one. He's just being his usually petty self.
And I don't give a fuck. I do not care. I live in the forest. I work in the forest. I deal with the spirits. The titles, like honestly, he just reminds me of Krovan. Okay, so I do not care.
Sorry, well, but yeah, good job, Karus. You have saved all of the afflicted for the time being, and now we move on. As you enter the market where Damien was sent to last, Damien returns with a batch of fresh-looking grapes. They look like very plump purple orbs.
Good choice.
And they're incredibly sweet and juicy. The skin just peels right off like almost like butter.
He's got a good eye.
Yeah.
Kid knows how to pick out good looking fruit.
Yeah.
That's impressive considering the time.
I got you some too, Master.
And I look at him and I grab a few and it says you have a good eye for fruit, my Damien.
Yeah,
but these are your
valuable things. That's what happens when you grow up on the streets.
Karus can't help but smile and release a chuckle. It's just Damien's gonna be Damien, and I'm not gonna ignore that.
When you look around the market square, aside from the people attending to their usual duties, you don't see Xander or Berlo anywhere.
I feel the need to want to reunite with them before I embark on this quest to the forest, this time without Damien. Realizing that he's only a 9-year-old boy, and as much as I'd like to say he's ready, he's not 10, and therefore he is not ready. When he is 10, yes, when he is 10, he will be able to officially begin his training, but he is not that age yet, and therefore I want him to.
What is this, the world of Pokemon?
Exactly! At age 10, I'm going to actually, I think they're 11. It's age 11 when they go out. But then I'm going to let him embark all on his own with a bunch of dangerous, wild, magical animals and hope that he just survives and just succeeds and eventually comes back as a Pokemon master. No big deal. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
All right.
So I want to try and find Berlo and, wait, I have his name, Xander.
Yes. All right. So after wandering around for a bit, you can't seem to find him. You can't find Xander, but you find Berlo first. Berlo is shopping for some sort of knickknacks at the village market.
How do you ask you for Dagobon? Sorry, go ahead.
And that's about it. He turns to you and he says, "Oh, hello, Karus." He kind of averts his gaze when he looks at Damien as if he's still kind of ashamed of what he did by accident. "Oh, hello, you too, Damien. I see you two are well."
And he says, "Better than before." I say, kind of give him a little stab there at the spirit. And I say, I am to embark on back to the forest soon, the Vanderkelt forest, later this afternoon, and I will require additional hands. I would like for you to join me this time.
"Oh, absolutely," he says, "but today's not the best day. Tomorrow, first thing in the morning. You want to conserve as much daylight as you can when you're in that forest."
What time is it now?
It's about afternoon. The early part of the morning was spent walking around town, reacquiring your goods, and also the skill challenge took a lot out of you. So it's about midday. And also he says Xander has today off. He's spending it his own way right now.
I cock a brow like this. Yeah, as the time is of the essence, though. The longer we sit idle with our thumbs twiddling, the more our children, or I should say your children, are in danger.
His face twitches when you say your children, but he doesn't, his actions betray him, but he doesn't say much. He does, however, he understands. He says, I would, but good luck trying to get Xander to move right now. It's not a good day.
I let out a long, defeated sigh. So be it. I will go back and tend to the children. We will leave first thing tomorrow morning. Please be sure to get Xander and meet me at the House of Healing at dawn.
Absolutely, he says.
Okay.
All right.
I nod, and I want to spend, because I'm not going to be doing anything for the rest of the day, I want to spend the rest of the day like hanging out with Damien and just trying as hard as I can to get him to forget about the event that had transpired that morning. But if he ever brings it up, I want to let him know. I'm like, I don't want to give him a long preachy speech about it, but I do want to say to him in relative terms that he did a wonderful job. He did a great job today. I'm very proud of him. He should be proud of himself. And that even though it was really scary, he worked very hard towards it. And that the kind of good that we're doing here is something that he can't quite understand yet. But I want him to understand that we're doing great work. And I want him to come out and I want to reward him for the rest of the day by going out and having fun, having a good time.
All right. So you take him on a day at the town. And he seems to be enjoying himself. The people appear very somber as they're walking around. They don't bother you, but they seem to give you a wide berth as you're walking through.
As they should. Just kidding. Okay.
As you walk back to the Houses of Healing, on the way down the main street, you pass a cemetery, and it looks like there's a person standing inside the cemetery. For some reason, it's rather empty. And there's just a single person standing beside one of the stones.
With my passive perception of...
You don't need to do a check. You just, if you care, we'll just move on.
I do care. I want to glance at this individual and see if I recognize them. Do I recognize this person?
It's Xander. He's not wearing his armor. He's just wearing his street clothing, and he's standing beside a gravestone.
I want to approach him, but slowly and quietly, you know. Yeah. I don't want to get in the way of whatever he's doing. I want to slowly kind of make my way to him so that I'm not startling him. I don't want to scare him. I don't want to be disruptive in any way. Okay?
All right. So when you approach, he has a glass bottle of some unknown amber liquid, and he's pouring out a single glass, dropping it onto the headstone, and then pouring one for himself that he drinks. He drops the glass onto the stone with a decisive clink, and he says, "What are you doing here?"
I thought Berlot would be the one to tell you, but I'm embarking for the forest tomorrow, he and I, to continue to put to rest the angry spirits. I don't wish to disturb you in whatever activities that you are doing, but I thought I should let you know.
Of course. Tomorrow the mission continues. We're going to find that witch of the forest and finish the job.
I want to look at the gravestone that he is standing by.
So the man's name on the grave is Kaldor Rivenzeal, and he died 5 years ago. Well, accurately, it will be 5 years ago in 4 days.
Okay. I look at him and I say, I don't intend to pry, and I will leave you to your privacy if you wish it. But it seems, may I ask who this individual was?
He turns to you. His usually hostile eyes, which you peer behind the helm, now looking vulnerable and wounded. Before he speaks, he hands you the bottle, gesturing to you.
I look at it hesitantly as I'm not one for alcohol, but out of respect for him, I will take a swig.
All right.
And I hand it back.
He is one of the people who was claimed during the rockfall.
Can I do a history check on the rockfall? I want to figure out what.
So do a history.
Oh boy, my history is just absolutely wonderful. 23!
23. All right. So, for the last couple of days, people have been more solemn than usual because they're getting prepared for a day of remembrance. In 4 days, it will be the remembrance of a day called the Rockfall. It was the inciting incident that led to the battle with the Sverdnebli. A massive tremor had racked Felgor Mountain about 5 years ago and caused an avalanche, killed hundreds, injured thousands.
I see. Okay. As I recall this, I simply nod in acknowledgement. Many great lives were lost on that day. Who was he to you?
He takes a deep breath before ingesting yet another swig, this time eschewing the glass entirely. He says, he was everything to me. He was going to join the city watch. I wanted to join the church like his sister. After what happened, I guess I took up both of our dreams. It was terrible the day the rocks fell. He was leaving his shift, and the mountain fell upon him. Should have seen it. Crushed his lower half. Stomach to foot. Still kept alive. Tough bastard. And I just sat there holding his hand while he choked on his own blood. If I left, he would have died. If I tried to pull the rocks off, he would have died faster. So I made it faster. Realized I had a very steady hand that day. Maybe I was destined for this. He takes another swig. What's it to you?
It is important to know the comrades in which you'll go to battle with. If we are to take on this horror together on the morrow, it is important that I know who you are as a person, and I thank you for sharing the story with me. I will pray to the spirits that he is at ease in the times to come.
No. He says, angered when you bring up the spirit world. Don't you ask for a blessing of the same pagan gods that killed him.
So be it. And he, without looking at him, I want to look at the stone, and I say, I just hope that your spirit may one day find peace as well.
You should get some sleep. It's a long journey tomorrow.
Aye. And hopefully this bottle won't be a hindrance to you in the morning either.
I'll worry about that. You worry about yourself.
Fair enough. I'm sorry. I turn to walk away, but before I do, I look over my shoulder and say, I'm sorry. And that's it. I just walk away.
All right. So, the day passes, and near the evening, a very... there seems to be two parents Mother appears to be of elven descent. The father is human, and they're outside of the House of Healing. Lady Kalava says something to them, and both of them are just hug her. They seem so grateful. And as you're approaching, she gestures and says, "You should thank Karus. He helped." And both of them just rush at you, this mother and father, and they grab you and they lift you up.
Are they? What are their race again?
The mother is elven and the father is human.
Oh, okay.
And the mother says, "You saved our Hestera. We're so grateful. Thank you, kind stranger. We don't know how we could possibly repay you." It's like,
okay.
"I've got just the thing," he says. "Please wait here. I'll be right back." The one that you're with right now is Walda. She's an elf, and her husband is named Willem. Willem returns with a little wooden box, and he says, "I am but a cobbler, sir, but perhaps I could repay you with my life's work. Estera means the world to me, and this means nothing compared to her. We're grateful we can see her another day." He hands you this box. It seems to be, when you open it, he says he's a cobbler, and as expected, it seems like a pair of simple wooden shoes, but he says there's an enchantment on them. It's a foot slot item. He says,
"Oh, I do not have one of those, mostly because I have lupine feet, but that's okay."
He says, "Oh, I can get these adjusted for you if you need be. It'll take me a bit of time. It'll take me the rest of the night, but anything for you, sir." He takes them back and he says he'll adjust them. "With these, I've learned how to, I'm not much for magic. That's more of my wife's and my daughter's ability, but I managed to inscribe these with some magic. They'll allow you to walk on water."
Oh, fuck yeah! I've always wanted to be able to walk on water. Shaman should always be able to walk on water. Hell yes. They're like Jordans of water striding.
Boots of Jesus Cristo. I'm just kidding.
Alright, boots of water striding. Okay, so it allows me to walk on water indefinitely?
Yes, just your speed. And basically sinking is the equivalent of dropping down. It's like a free action. Just drop.
Okay, I'm gonna add this to my inventory because that is awesome. All right. Well, I thank them deeply for their wonderful gift, and let them know that this gift will be deeply appreciated and used to help others, as I have helped their daughter on this day.
Thank you so much. We're eternally in your debt. You're always welcome in our home. If you ever care to visit this, we promise Juvelin is not usually this glum. It's been difficult lately.
Karus nods and says, "I understand. Your situation is dire, and that is why I am here. Though I do ask you of one very important favor."
Yes.
I want to pull them off to the side. Is Damien with me?
Yeah, Damien's with you. He's just chilling.
I'll pull him off to the side, and it says, "That young boy over there is my apprentice. His name is Damien. And he is training with me in an attempt to become a shaman one day, as I am myself, a healer, to help those in need. But my line of work is dangerous, and should I fall, I would ask you to take him in as one of your own and raise him to give him a peaceful life, a life in which he deserves."
You have my word on my honor. As a mere cobbler, that might not mean much, but what you've done means everything to us, so we are eternally in your debt, of course. But please, return safely. We hope this is not the last time we see you, Karus.
I have no intention of it being so low. Okay, Walda and Willem. So I do just throwing it out there, if Karus ever dies, dies, and somehow Damien is alive, I want Walda and Willem to take him in so that he has a family and isn't just left out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Okay?
Yes.
And
absolutely.
if I'm gonna say it because I love him. If if I get Kaiba back and he's still around after I die, I want Kaiba to guide Damien back to Willem and Welda so that he has a good life. Because I'm a good fucking dad, okay? Alright, let it be known. I care about him, okay.
Brings a tear to your eye, doesn't it? But alright. So, are you ready to return to Vanderkelt Forest?
I am ready to return to Vanderkelt Forest, only in the morning, though, after I get a good night's rest, and hopefully no other terrible things happen between now and then. Yes.
Speaking of which, I'm just kidding, yeah. You sleep just
God damn it!